We all want 4K resolution, we all want high refresh rates, we all want a large screen, and usually we have to sell a kidney to get those. But this unit right here offers all of those without breaking the bank. So how does it perform? Let's find out. Hello everyone, welcome back to Gadget Joe, and unfortunately I am quite poorly, so my voice might dip in and out on this video, but bear with me, I'm still going to do what I can. And today we're checking out a monitor that aims to deliver high-end performance without the sky-high price tag. This is the PiXL CM32G7. It's a 32-inch 4K IPS monitor with a gaming-ready refresh rate and some surprisingly rich features. So is this the budget 4K champion that we've been waiting for? Let's find out. Before we do go ahead and test this thing out, I must mention that even though PiXL did send me this unit to review, they are fully on board with the fact that all opinions are my own and are not influenced in any way, shape or form. Also, something to notice that some people may have already noticed is that my unit says 144 Hz on the box, and the listings on the web all state 165 Hz. That's because my unit was an older example and does indeed feature 144 Hz. The unit that you guys will more than likely receive is the 165 Hz model. Everything else remains the same, just my monitor is limited at 144, so technically you'll get a better performing monitor. So with that out of the way, let's start in the usual Gadget Joe style by taking a look at the box and what you get in it. The box itself is usual PiXL branding with a big black box and lots of bright vibrant text and imagery all around. It doesn't feel like a budget brown box for sure. Inside you get everything neatly put together inside two thick foam padded trays. On the top you get all the accessories and the stand. First we have the footing or the base of a stand, all metal and nice and slim. Then the arm itself, nice and thick metal again, and shows you some of the movement capabilities. Next is a power brick and a C13 kettle lead power style cable. We have a DisplayPort cable and a USB A to B cable, and then finally a user manual and warranty card. Remove the top tray and you have the monitor itself packed nice and tightly into place inside a foam sleeve. The rear of the CM32G7 looks very nice. It's all plain matte black except for a small triangle section at the bottom right corner that is shiny black plastic. It has a gamer feel to it with lots of lines and angles on it. The ring in the middle is an RGB ring that we will look at very shortly. Turn it around and you have the business end with a nice matte finish panel. Oddly enough, no screen protector here, but that might just be my unit. It has three tiny bezels around the sides and top with a small chin on the bottom with a PiXL logo. On the underside are 5 buttons for powering on and off and to toggle through your on-screen menu functions. On the rear underside is the I/O panel and it's pretty generous. We get an audio jack, 2 USB-A ports, a USB Type-B port, a Type-C port and a single DisplayPort connector, as well as 2 HDMI ports and finally a power jack. Assembling the monitor is super simple too. All you need to do is take the arm itself and locate the thumb screw at the bottom. Remove that and keep it safe. Insert the base into the bottom of the arm with the 2 prongs and then screw it into place with the thumb screw and the arm is complete. Now you need to lay the monitor flat. Be careful not to damage the screen. Locate the 2 pins on the mount of the arm and then simply line them up with the 2 points on the rear of the monitor and then angle it down so it clicks into place. It should automatically lock into place. If it doesn't, make sure it's aligned properly and use the little toggle to ensure it's locked in. And now you are all done. Plug the power and display connections in and you are good to go. Make sure to connect the Type A to B lead too, as it provides the relevant power and data needed for the USB functionality on the monitor. I do just wish they would stop adding blue cables and use a black one. The blue ones really do look unsightly and very 90s, early 2000. When you first switch this monitor on, the size hits you. 32 inches of 4K real estate. That's a lot of screen to work with. It feels modern, slim bezels, a sturdy adjustable stand and even subtle RGB lighting if you like a little bit of flair on your desk. It doesn't scream entry level. It feels like it belongs in a serious gaming or creative setup. The PiXL CM32G7 is advertised as a 4K gaming monitor, but by the looks of the specifications, it's not just for gamers. It's pitched to appeal to creatives, multitaskers, movie watchers, and anyone who wants sharp detail plus fluid motion. The picture quality, as you can see here, is absolutely stunning. The images look super crisp and bright, vibrant, and really quite sharp. In fact, let's take a look at the specifications. I'll put the list of specs on the screen for you to browse through, but the key specs are, of course, the 32-inch screen size, with a 3840 by 2160 4K resolution and a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. It's a BOE IPS panel that boasts higher efficiency and brighter colours than a standard IPS panel, with a 1000:1 contrast ratio and 178-degree horizontal and vertical viewing angles. Up to 165Hz refresh rate. Obviously my unit is 144 and there will be some units still at 144, but the majority will be 165 with a 1 millisecond response time across both. It has a brightness of 250 nits and 96% RGB colour rating. It's a pretty weighty unit actually, at around 7 kilograms with the stand and the arm, which can be removed altogether if needed thanks to the 100mm VESA support at the rear, allowing you to mount it to the wall or to a separate monitor arm. So all in all, a very heavily spec'd system, even more so when you consider the CM32G7 is priced amongst the lowest in the market compared to competitors with similar specs. Let's talk about how this thing feels, beyond the numbers, beyond the hype. The CM32G7 doesn't try to look premium with fancy materials, instead it goes for a solid, practical build. The stand allows for height adjustment, tilt, swivel, and even pivot, which is a vertical rotation. That means you can find a comfortable angle whether you're gaming, editing, writing, or just watching. It also includes VESA mount support, so if you prefer to mount it to a monitor arm, you've got that flexibility. Ideal for a clean desk layout or a dual monitor rig, even though 32 inches is probably at the higher end of an ideal size for dual monitor mounting. The inclusion of USB-C with DisplayPort alternate mode is a big plus in 2025, especially if you switch between devices, whether that's a laptop, console, or PC. You can now run video and power, depending on the device, through one cable. The extra USB-A ports and a headphone jack add convenience for peripherals without needing a separate hub. The RGB lighting and slim bezels give it a modern aesthetic. Not the gaudy gamer RGB everywhere kind, but a subtle accent that fits well if you like a clean, semi-gaming desk build. Overall, the CM32G7 feels like it's built with balance in mind. Enough ergonomics, enough connectivity, and a sensible mix of performance and practicality, rather than chasing ultra-premium materials or gimmicks. The thin bezels and slim base and stand actually give it a much higher priced premium feel to it. Visually, it looks fantastic. When I put it to the test, it performed fantastically well. I ran it through the usual tests using ASUS software suites to test the clarity, depth, colour gamut, defective pixels on multiple colours, legibility of text in multiple sizes of both black on white and white on black, and then the responsiveness overall, and it showed zero faults whatsoever and performed everything with ease. Text and images are super sharp and clear with very little pixelation present, even when looking really closely to the display thanks to the high 4K resolution. The UFO tests all pretty much proved the specifications on paper to be correct. Again, observing the fact that my unit is the 144Hz variant for refresh rates testing. Video looks phenomenal on this panel. It's definitely easy on the eyes with bright, vibrant colours and accuracy. The blacks are not OLED black, but are among some of the better of the IPS panels I've had in for testing. Combine the fantastic picture quality and brightness, it would definitely be easy to watch a movie on this thing. At 32 inches, it's almost the size of a small TV anyway, which helps. Multimedia content is a joy to view too. Heavy YouTube sessions or intense Netflix series binges are definitely possible without leaving your eyes sore or strained after extended periods of use. And general productivity is glorious on this, with a large size. Emails, office suites, photo or video editing all look great, and you can even arrange it to have multiple smaller displays on it with Windows multi-window setup, and all windows are easy, legible and watchable too. When it comes down to the gameplay, then the CM32G7 really shines through. this is the area that most people are going to be interested in, and I can tell you that it's a great experience. Gaming on here is fantastic. The gameplay not only looks super sharp, bright, vibrant and colour-rich, but it's super smooth too, thanks to the high refresh rate. It's running at 144 on mine, so the 165Hz is going to be even more of an experience on the one that you get. It's fast too in terms of response time. There's almost no conceivable latency when playing. Ideal for fast-paced games like shooters, racing sims, and all the like. So that brings me on to the pros and cons of the CM32G7. In fact, let's not call them pros and cons, but more strengths and weaknesses, as pros and cons is quite a little bit literal. Starting with the strengths. These are what the monitor does really well. The 4K resolution combined with a 32-inch screen size allows for an enormous amount of screen real estate for pretty much anything you want to throw at it, and it's crisp and clean too. The fast refresh rate and 1 millisecond response time, combined with adaptive sync, make it excellent for gaming with smooth motion and minimal input lag. The IPS panel in this unit is, as mentioned earlier, a BOE panel made by Beijing Oriental Electronics Group, and they produce some of the best IPS panels on the market, creating a strong bridge between the traditional IPS panels and an OLED screen. It basically means that the colours are a little bit sharper, more colour accurate, and that helps with the contrast to make the blacks appear a little bit more black. The wide viewing angles and good colour gamut make it great for creative work and editing, or pretty much any role that requires somewhat accurate colours. The stand is super flexible too, so you can get your monitor positioning perfect, whether that's vertical, horizontal, swiveled forward, backwards, or downwards. Connectivity is solid right out of the box, including USB-C, HDMI, DisplayPort, USB hub, and audio out. And it's basically a solid all-rounder for gaming, productivity, media, professional or creative. It's not a one-trick pony, but it's a bit more than just a jack of all trades. It has decent build quality with the materials used. The matte anti-glare panel is great too when used in bright spaces to reduce reflection, making it appear brighter than it actually is. Now let's move on to the potential limitations or weaknesses of the CM32G7. It's certainly not perfect, but then there are very few on the market that are genuinely perfect. The brightness is modest, it performs well in an average room or setting, such as a home system or at work. But when you put it in a highly lit environment, then that 250 nits brightness starts to suffer against some of its competitors that offer around 400 plus nits or HDR for a somewhat similar price point. The contrast ratio, it's set at 1000 to 1, which is acceptable, but even with a slightly more premium IPS panel included, it still lags massively behind VA or OLED panels, meaning the blacks won't be as deep, which may show more in darker set games or movies. While IPS gives great viewing angles, IPS glow or backlight uniformity might show on a 32-inch screen, common to many large IPS panels. So for critical colour work, you may need to check carefully and possibly look at a slightly higher price unit. The built-in speakers. There aren't any, or at least none are advertised, and I've not managed to find any. So you'll need external speakers or headphones for audio. They do include an audio jack too, which is quite useful. There's no mention of HDR support, so if you're after vivid HDR content, this might not satisfy that need. And that's pretty much it. The strengths, personally, massively outweigh the weaknesses of the PiXL CM32G7, and it's most definitely a very solid offering, even more so when you go back to the lower price points comparative to its direct competitors. If you're gaming, editing, working, or just want a great all-round screen, and you don't want to pay flagship brand prices, the PiXL CM32G7 is absolutely worth a look. If you are a gamer on a budget but still want 4K resolution with a high refresh and low latency, a creative pro or hobbyist looking for a large 4K workspace with decent colour coverage, or anyone working from home who needs a versatile, large display that pretty much does it all, or even a console user that wants a high quality display that will easily complement and show your console's performance to its full potential, then this is a very, very strong contender to consider. If your priority is HDR, maximum brightness, or the deepest possible contrast black levels, you might consider more premium monitors. So, is the PiXL CM32G7 the budget 4K champ that gives you premium level features without a premium price tag? For many people, yes. It strikes a very convincing balance between sharp resolution, smooth motion, colour fidelity and flexible ergonomics. For gaming, multimedia, creative work or general productivity, it's a very solid all-rounder monitor that punches well above its weight. If you like what you see, I'd say it's well worth factoring into your next setup upgrade. For under a price you'd expect to pay for a flagship 4K display, you get more than enough performance for most tasks. Alright, that's it for me for now. I've managed to get through this video without losing my voice too many times, so thank you for bearing with me on that. If you enjoyed this review, hit like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, happy gaming and stay pixel perfect. Goodbye.